here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhbl.com for sure, and Rolo Tomassi are back and will release a huge, expansive and ambitious new album Where Myth Becomes Memory on February 4th, 2022 through MRNK. Consistently one of the most unique bands out there, Rolo Tomassi have always done things their way. This new album serves as the final part in an unintended trilogy that began with 2015's Grievances and continued with 2018's Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It, the most critically acclaimed album of the band's career up to now. Regardless of if this is your first venture into the world of Rolo Tomassi or your latest go around with the 5-piece, no one will be disappointed by what they find here on Where Myth Becomes Memory. A cinematic and dramatic masterpiece that features a ton of progressive rock elements, experimental soundscapes, post-hardcore heaviness, and so much more. It's what Rolo Tomassi do, but perhaps nowhere as grand as they do here. It's not just the grandeur that makes this album such an accomplishment though. It is the emotion, it is the progressive detail, it is the heavy punch of post-hardcore and so much more. Rolo Tomassi have dug down deep to produce this album, and it is unlikely you won't be touched by at least one track. The melancholic and haunting piano-led beauty of Almost Always, the post-hardcore fire and melodramatic shifts of Cloaked, and the powerful combination of heavy grit and melodic majesty that is Mutual Ruin. The first 3 tracks of this album are stunners in their own individual way. I would say I've never been the biggest Rolo Tomassi fan, but going off these first 3 tracks, I was baffled as to why I wasn't before. These first 3 tracks, each in their own individual way, blew me away. Absolutely loved every single one of them. Flexing their progressive and experimental muscles and delivering something far more scathing, Rolo Tomassi continue to excel though with Labyrinthian, before we get something that oozes emotion in Closer, a track that I think can simply be called beautiful. It's then followed by another stunner called Drip, a rightfully lauded single release you will probably have heard already that sees Rolo Tomassi deliver a free-flowing belter that is up there as one of the more experimental tracks. Yet it all seems so very natural for them. It's very unusual, but very, very, like, they meant it this way. There was no other way it could be, and I completely understand that. And there's plenty more to enjoy too. Prescient sees Rolo Tomassi reaching levels of wild ferocity not quite heard so far. A devastating display of just how much fire they still have in their bellies, while layering it with melody and progressive desolation. Stumbling is a short slice of melancholic pie, the forlorn melody is sweet and affecting, whereas To Resist Forgetting jumps between scorching aggression and heartfelt melody with unbelievable ease. Before this incredible release wraps up with one last glorious sounding cinematic and progressive epic called The End of Eternity. I mean, the title should tell you how grand this track is alone. A track that is every bit that ending it needed to be. Super melodramatic and touching. Rolo Tomassi are signing off on this album, but as the latter half shows, this is no goodbye. Instead, they fire up and make sure that we know 17 years in, the Inferno is still burning so very brightly. A brilliant release from a band who never failed to inspire. You can always rely on Rolo Tomassi to bring you something unique. Even if you don't always love the entire body of work, you can sit down and appreciate what they're trying to do, what they're bringing to the table, and how they've been doing this for so very long. This is an accomplished album. It's a great album. It's one that certainly opened my eyes to just how brilliant they can be. I've always thought they were a good band, but as I said throughout this review, they're not a band I've always connected with. I connected heavily with this album, enjoying it pretty much from beginning to end, to the point where I struggle to find anything to really complain about. If you've got nothing negative to say, there's no reason to be trying to pull it out. That's why I wanted to focus so heavily on the positives, and how this album made me feel, emotions and things like that. That's always exceptional to me. That's always incredible music. We all want music to make us feel, and I think this album does an incredible job of that. Where Myth Becomes Memory is out on February 4th, 2022 through MRNK. You know what to do? Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?